Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the Sunday show. I am happy to be here, always as usual. Um, guys, what's going on with this month? What's going on so far in the last week? The last week we had a pretty choppy week. TSX kind of went, well, it reacted kind of poorly initially. We had a little bit of a dip, and then we had a pretty big pump towards the end. So, and that is, it's kind of what I envisioned for the week, but not exactly. If you guys remember last Sunday, I thought because of everything that was going on with Venezuela and all of that stuff, I was expecting, well, basically the week, I was expecting that pattern. So the pattern we saw on the week, and here, let me pull this up. Let me just pull this on up, head on over here to the TSX. So this little pattern here, I was kind of thinking we were going to see kind of like this. I actually thought this last part, I thought we were going to see a bit of a dip and a pump on Monday. But, well, Monday, nope. Monday was a green day. We pumped on Monday, then we had this is kind of our choppiness. We went right back down, and then we finished off the week pretty darn strong. So we're having a pretty good January thus far. It's interesting. It's interesting because I was thinking, and you guys, if any of you watched my prediction video on the year, one of the things I was thinking of the overall theme of 2026 is that, it's got to be a little more subdued than 2025. That we were going to sort of, 2025 being the big meal, and 2026 being, sitting back, unbutton your trousers and, give it room to digest. But not so much. Not so much. We're kind of still in 2025 energy so far on the market. So this is pretty cool. We'll talk more about it, of course, as the day goes by. And I don't know, one person did send me their portfolio to look at. So, if she shows up, we'll do that. We'll definitely do that as well. So we've got a few things, of course, your questions, all of that fun stuff. All right. And it is Sunday to me is the beginning of the week. So as you know, we've been talking a little bit about goats. So we have our customary 4 goats that we use every time we get like a, oh, let's go big. why are we sitting in the small? Anytime we go and do things like supers or gifted subs. So we have those 4 goats. Now, I did mention we're going to be retiring them. So we're doing them one at a time. We have a secret goat. So the secret goat is basically going to take the place of our first goat. And then we'll have a second secret goat. And it's a secret goat. So there's a way to get it going, but to unlock it. But I'm not telling you guys. I will give hints, though. I will give a hint each week. Last week, the hint was 5. So last week it was 5. This week, I'll give a good hint. I'll give a good hint. Membership has privileges. There we go. I think between the two, you guys might know how to unlock this thing. You might know how to unlock it. All right. With that being said, we also have in our 5th position, we always have a well, we started this at Christmas because, the funny dancing Christmas tree goat. I love that goat. We then replaced it with a New Year's resolution goat. Well, New Year's resolutions are over. So we're going to retire the New Year's resolution goat effective immediately. And we have, oh, actually, guys, I didn't even upload it. I downloaded it. But that's fine. I'll upload it here as we go in case we go there today. There's no need to go there today, but if you guys want to, it never hurts to have the goat ready just in case. All right, just give me two shakes of a lamb's tail here. I'm just adding a file. Oh, come on, here we go. Which one is, yeah, this one. All right, here we go. The fun of trying to come up with a new goat. So yeah, we'll have this one, and this one will probably ride us through. It is a skate, a sort of a skating goat, a skating goat of sorts. So our skating goat will ride us through until we get the Valentine's Day goat, which I know somebody wanted as well. Anyway, oh boy, let's get back here. Let's actually, you know what? Let's hit the chat. Let's hit the chat. I don't want to talk about goats right now. Um, we will, let's see right here at the beginning. Jonathan, Jonathan, as usual, in first. Am I late for supper? We're having choppy greens. There we go. And that kind of reminds me, if you guys remember, Dana Carvey back on Saturday Night Live, long time ago, I used to have that running skit where he was like, basically, I think he was making fun of one of the Stones, I think. But he had that whole thing about chopping broccoli. Anyway, that just reminded me of that. Prairie says, good afternoon and happy Sunday, investing community. Looks like we're all a week late for today's live stream. A week. Wait, did I have the wrong did I have the wrong date down or something? Ah, I might have. I might have absolutely messed up the date. I think I did. There shouldn't even be a date on the thumbnail. Oh boy. Yep, that's what I did. I just converted because I wanted to go. One of the things I wanted to do is I've always have two different backgrounds for the market close and for this week, and I just wanted to standardize that. So in the process, I may have left Friday's date on there. Oh boy, oh, that was an error, but easily fixed error. I'll change that after the stream. Wyatt Pull is in the house. Hey, I am here. Hit like. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Smash the good old like button. Let the algorithm know that that we're here. That we're here. Lisa says, good afternoon, everyone. Watching while I make a pot of soup. Nice. What type of soup? Chicken noodle or tomato or, ooh, there's all kinds of good soups out there. Crispy Bones says, I guess I am not late. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Sunday show starts at 4 p.m., where the other one starts at 3:30. I almost want to say, let's just start the Sunday show at 3:30 just to make everything the same time. It's actually not a bad idea. It's not official, but it's not a bad idea. I might mull that one over. Luke says, today is the first. Hit the like button before we even started, and I was ninth to do so, making Mary proud. Proud Mary, sing along now. Mary will be happy, Luke. She will absolutely be happy. King a day. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Perfect weather here in Calgary. +5. Ooh, that smells like a Chinook. Still not going outside, though. Yeah, we actually had some pretty good weather here this week. We got up as high as +7 in Ottawa on Friday. No, Thursday. No, Friday. It was Friday. Sorry. Then yesterday, after letting everything melt a little bit, yesterday, Mother Nature came in and said, no, 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 you guys need 10 centimeters of snow. Here you go. But it's still warm. It's still pretty mild. And it's still mild now. And I think today we're getting maybe another 3 centimeters of snow. I'm looking out the window right now. I don't think it's snowing. There was a little bit of a flurry here about half an hour before the show started. Brian is in the house and says, interesting that ECHI seems to be doing better than HHIC. When HHIS seems to be the GOAT for U.S. stocks, ECHI went with less financial and more energy commodities than HHIC. Yes, I also will say this too. ECHI is catching more upside. So they're not writing their covered calls as aggressive as well as HHIC or HHIS, to be honest. So that's where ECHI is that's where they're succeeding. And you guys know I talk a lot about well, I don't want to say I talk a lot, but sometimes I will talk a little bit about at the money and out of the money. So ECHI, I believe they're more out of the money. So And there's two, guys, when you're looking at covered calls, so there's two factors you want to take a look at. So one is how much of the portfolio are they writing the covered calls on? So the larger that percentage is, that means that that's going to be a larger percentage of what they're holding that will have some upside capped on it. So for example, if you have a company that's writing covered calls on 33%, you're still getting that other 66%. That other 66%, you're getting full upside on that. But let's say you take a more aggressive company and they're writing covered calls on 50%. Well, in that case, you're only going to get that upside on the other half, especially usually a company that's going for 50% as well. They're usually going to hit at the money calls. So you're probably not going to get much upside on that half that they're writing covered calls on. You're going to get you're probably getting some pretty good dividends, but you are going to lose a bit more. And that's kind of when you're looking at a covered call, and especially if it is in a sector that has a lot of upside, you probably want to sort of say, okay, well, what percentage are they writing? Are they writing on 50%? Or are they writing on 33%? And as you guys probably saw the other day, we were also looking at some companies will even tell you what the average works out to. We were looking at, I think it was a Global X. I think it was CPCC. I think we went, yeah, it was. Here, let me show you. Let's go back here. Bang. And all right, we'll head over here, and I'm only going to D-Wave for a second. Why was I on D-Wave? You guys might find out sooner than later. What was I going to do? Oh, right over here. I've started to bookmark these. So, CPCC. Oh, there's an upcoming webinar. Ooh, some of those can be fun. If you guys remember, we did that one. I think a lot of you guys attended as well. We did that one for 9 Point not that long ago. But down in here, average coverage. So Global X is actually pretty good at putting this. It's really easy to find. But in this case here, even though CPCC is designed to write up to 33%, the average has been 26.05. So that's actually pretty good. That means we are getting room for a lot of upside on CPCC. And I wonder, let's just try something here. I don't know if it's up front and center on their website, but let's find out. ECHI 9 Point. And I will bookmark this one once we're there, of course. Right here, ECHI, perfect. This is what we're looking for. Yeah, this is exactly what we're looking for. So here, I'm going to grab this. Put this in our, there we go. I'll put this in our, for now, I'll just put it that way. I can go in, I'll edit it later. So, all right, so here we go. 25%. All right, so they're using some leverage. Fine, good to know. All right, now let's see if they have a little bit of information here on this. I don't know. I haven't actually looked. Now look at this. Up to 50% of the NAV. So that does mean that they're actually writing on a larger part of the portfolio. Brian, I was not expecting that. But yeah, covered calls up to 50% of NAV. So interesting. They are writing a bit more. So that is very, very interesting. But I don't think, here's some of the people. Yeah, look at this. They've got a good chunk here, 15% in Barrick. And Barrick has absolutely been doing fantastic. And Cameco. So between Cameco and Barrick, right there, that's 30% of the fund. That's 30% of the fund. And they're doing fantastic. Let's just see here. Yeah, I don't think they have it here. I'll have to look. I've never really dug too deeply into their setup here, but they may not show it. But Global does show what it actually ends up being. I'm sure if we dig through all of their documentations, well, keep in mind too. This is another thing to keep in mind with this one. They're new. This is a fairly new fund. So they may not even have that data yet, now that I think about it. But anyway, what can I say? All right, let's drop on over to Brian. We'll go big again. The portfolio hit a new all-time high this past week. Nice, congratulations. Elaine says, happy Sunday. Mary's in the house, says Mary's proud. That's in response to that like button. Guys, Mary is our official captain of the like button. So if you have not yet hit that button, oh boy, it's time to start clicking. I think if you're watching on your phone, I think if you turn your phone sideways, I think it gives you access to like the like button. But yeah, guys, just hit that button. Let the algorithm know that you guys are here, and yeah, we'll have some fun. We'll have some fun this afternoon. And there we go. It's customary for me to enjoy some coffee when Mary talks. King a day up already 3.27 this year. Can't be mad at that, but it probably won't last. Now, here's the thing. I did not expect last year to be as good as it was. I don't expect this year to be as good. So we're kind of in this economy right now that even when things get bad, the market just doesn't seem to care. So if the market just doesn't care this year too, maybe we'll see better returns than we're expecting. That'd be nice, but at the same time, I just hope we get a few of those buy the dip moments. But we'll have to see. We'll see. Rob says, I got into the ETF SVR on Friday. Tried to day trade it, but got caught on the daily downtrend, crossing fingers for a good silver day on Monday. Yes, day trading is tough. Here's the thing. So when you are doing day trading, because you have that pressure and you're trying to do it all in that same day, you don't have as much room to make mistakes, let's just say. Whereas with swing trading, you could, with swing trading, I buy something, it goes down. I don't care. It's like I've already got a plan. It's going to be up the next day or within a couple of days, and I'm fine with that. So it's kind of one of the difference. But with day trading, yeah, and a lot of day traders will actually cash out completely at the end of each day. They don't even carry things over between day. They take whatever wins, whatever losses, all within the day, and move on to a brand new day. Not to say you have to do that. I mean, if you want to, you can do like a hybrid version for sure. Scott is in the house with a happy Sunday, everyone. Bismarcky, good afternoon. Was a late good football game was on. Nice. And we're getting closer and closer to the Super Bowl. So, I'm excited about the Super Bowl because it's not about football, it's actually about trailers. So I'm actually excited. I'm excited about Marvel, believe it or not. I know Marvel's been through ever since Endgame. Marvel has, well, they've struggled a little bit. There's been some good stuff in there, but there's been some stuff that's not their best material. Well, now that they got the Russo brothers back and they're doing Avengers Doomsday, this thing is looking, everything I'm seeing I'm liking so far. And their first big real trailer is going to be dropping apparently at the Super Bowl. So that's why I'm excited. All right, Chad is in here. 40 watching, 17 likes. Smash the like button, y'all. There we go. Guys, just hit the button. It's not hard. Luke says, USA having a warm winter, so my natural gas stocks, Torlamine and ARC, have stalled. Yeah, but keep in mind, the winter's only just begun. I mean, things can turn around. All it takes is a good vortex, a good polar vortex just to come down, sink into the States, and stay there. Of course, that doesn't bode well for where I live, but that's fine. Anchor is in the house. Hello, Anchor. And Paul, happy Sunday. Number 20, like number 20. Lisa says I'm making lasagna soup. Okay, that sounds a little hearty for soup, but I like it. It almost, Lisa, you might be bordering on a stew at this point. You might be. Just to say, I don't know where the dividing line is between soup and stew, but it's, you might be there. Prairie says we had some freezing rain around noon today in Winterpeg. Oh boy. Yeah, freezing rain, not fun. I think the Maritimes are getting freezing rain right now, maybe. I know I saw something on the Weather Network about it. Paul says +6 in BC Lower Mainland. Don't want to jinx snow white stuff this winter. The winter's early, Paul, but you never know. You never know. It seems to me Vancouver, Lower Mainland, it can be hit and miss. I know when I lived in Vancouver, I had winters with no snow, and I had winters that had some snow. But yeah. Rory, we had freezing rain early this morning. We gave it to Manitoba. Okay, nice. Scott, I sold my in-play oil for DivX. I'm not sure how the medium and small guys are going to do with the price pressure on oil. Yeah, oil's going to be interesting. Oil's going to be interesting. So the good news about oil this week coming up is that I think I think people are starting to sort of get a general idea that it's not something we have to be super worried about, like quite literally. And I know last week, guys, we brought up, or not last week, but on one of the market closes, I brought up a map and we sort of looked at pipelines. It's not gonna, you can't really retool. You can retool pipelines. It's really expensive, but that's the problem. We're nowhere even close to a point in time where Venezuelan oil can sort of oust out the Canadian oil. I know a lot of analysts say maybe in the short term, maybe 10%. And we're talking oil that can be basically processed at the Gulf. So that's kind of the oil that people are thinking about. So what can I say? Oh, for HDiv. All right. When you first said DivX, I was like, isn't that a player or a format or something on? Oh boy. Rory says takeover bids. Paul, YouTube must have fixed something with live streams. You can listen with screen off now. Oh, neat. Not doing that right now, but have to tackle the office area of papers, a mess of white papers. Oh, fun. Yeah, whatever YouTube does that improves things for you guys, I'm all in for sure. What about the commodities reset for different funds from January 5th to 15th? I saw an Instagram post about the coming silver and gold sell-off in these funds to get back to correct ratios. I don't know anything about it, to be honest, Paul. I haven't really stumbled on anything about a commodities reset, but I'd need to let me know. Let me know which funds you heard this about, and I'll look into it. But I don't know anything about it at the moment. Rory, Iran regimes are collapsing. That might do something to OPEC. Yeah, there's a lot of chaos going on right now over there in Iran. I haven't seen. I think Trump said that the U.S. is weighing whether they should send military in there if the regime starts to hurt civilians or something of that nature. But it really depends on if there's any disruption of some of their ports, like the port of Hormuz. I think that's one of the major points, but I don't think right now. I don't think it's super. In fact, if it does disrupt oil at all, it's not a bad thing for us because it would be nice to see oil go up a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how that unwinds. I think that's still kind of in motion. Luke says, hi, Candace. I've started accumulating pet value this week. Do you think it's a concern that the top 25 shareholders own 60% of the shares? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Let's take a look at pet value. I can't remember the last time I've even looked at them. Although I gotta say, best ticker, probably the best ticker you could have if you're a pet store. Now, there was one thing I wanted to look at too here, and we'll look at it in a little bit here. All right, so yeah, they've the first part of the year has been pretty good for them, but they've certainly corrected a little bit since then. But what can I say? I don't think it's a concern over how many of the shareholders. What I would be more concerned about, Luke, is if you had insider selling. I would be more concerned if there was a lot of insider selling. That would be more of the concern that I would have. But right now, and I'm going to go back a little further and see what's going on here. Yeah, this is kind of one of these interesting things. So, as you know, I love animals. Animals are expensive though, but that's one of the things is that people there may be a lesser demand for animals if, of course, things keep getting kind of tight in the economy. So, if people can barely feed themselves, they may not be, buying new animals. So is that going to be a bad thing for pet value? It's hard to say. I mean, there's everybody who has their animals now. I mean, animals are, heck, I know here if money's tight, the animals eat first. that's always the rule for sure. So yeah, it's interesting. I wouldn't be super concerned. I don't think I'm concerned at all. And pet value, they're pretty solid. I think you're fine on that. All right, and let's see here. We have a super sticker. We have a super chat. Gold's the leader. Silver follow. Oil will win big. Yeah, oil. I love oil. I love oil. And guys, let's just put up the goat. This will be the first goat to get retired, guys. So once a secret goat's found, that goat will go bye-bye. And then the secret goat will take over. And then we'll do that for all of the goats. Boop-a-doop-boo. But I will show you guys. Oh yeah, this one here. Oh. All right. I just noticed which. All right, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. All right. Let me just pull this over here for a second. All right. Oh, what can I say? Yeah, so oil's going to be big. Oil's still going to be big. I mean, yes, there's a big push towards renewable. Yes, I'm super bullish on uranium because I think nuclear power is going to be huge. But guys, we're not there yet. Oil will still be king for a long, at least for the mid to long. I would say mid to long outlook. So it'll be a while, I think, before we're ready to get off oil. So what can I say? All right. And Michael says, hello, Candace. I have had diversified dividend for over a decade and delighted it's finally approaching $4. So yes, DIV has been fantastic right here. DIV. I hold them in the challenge. So this here is a royalty company, and I like royalty companies. Basically, they own royalties, and people just pay them to use those royalties. So they hold Mr. Lube. They hold Chuba Hut, Air Miles, I think Jack Astor's as well. So they have quite a few of them up there, and they've been doing fantastic. Let's just go back I'm going to go back 3 years. So in here, you'll notice that there has been a big jump this year. So this year, because before they were sitting usually a little under 3. Now they're approaching 4. So that was the whole acquisition of Chiba Hut. Now Chiba Hut, that's I hate to say it, guys, but Div is now a marijuana stock a little bit, not they hold the name, but that's all they hold. Is they bought the name, and Chiba Hut, which dispenses marijuana products, just sends them money. That's pretty much the extent of what happens there. So it's been really good for them. That's one of the reasons that their dividend jumped. And you can see this here. Let me show you guys. We'll go into the key data. So right here, you can see their dividend. Oh, they've jumped it again. Holy banana bread. But their dividend was at 21. 2.1 cents. So 2.1 cents. It jumped with the whole Chiba Hut thing up to 2.3 cents. And now they've knocked it up to 2.4 cents. That's fantastic. I love that. Oh boy, I didn't realize that those went up. Nice. I like that. That's awesome. All right. Vic says, a freeze thaw cycle making driving tough. Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole thing. Because, of course, when things freeze and thaw, that affects the road. And, when you start to throw in the heat and all of that, it's basically, expanding and shrinking of asphalt, and not a great thing. And I imagine you would feel it a lot more in a big truck, for sure. Lisa says it will be hearty soup. All right, cool. Hearty soup is cool. So hearty soup basically would be the border of stew then, I think. I don't know. Bismarcky says, I was watching a news program this morning. Apparently there might not be as much oil in Venezuela as people think. Ooh, that would be a flip in the script. That's for sure. Huh. Maybe there is less. I mean, it's not like they're good at accounting. Yeah, there could be less. That'd be interesting. Andrew says, is there a good site that shows how the different subsectors of the economy have done over time on a line graph or given projections? Great question. I don't know of one, but if I wanted to find out, I probably would. I would probably see if I would probably look at iShares, to be honest, some of their ETFs, because they've got a lot of different sectors. Now, mind you, those are full sectors, though. They're not really subsectors. Like they've got utilities, consumer staples, energy, and you can sort of look at that. But definitely a good question. I wonder. Like, I imagine you could probably manually pull it off on some of the sites, but I don't know of any that will actually just do it for you. Huh. Yeah, that's not a bad question. Marina, happy Sunday all. Another long-time lurker emerging from the shadows. Hi, guys. And this is hi, guys, to all the lurkers, but hi, Marina. Good to see you. Good to see you. And absolutely, guys, if you're a lurker, I may not talk directly to you, but thank you. Thank you for all of your lurkitude or lurkerage. I guess that would be the word, but yeah, no, every so often we get a lurker who pops out, and I always think it's fun. I love it. I love it. So yes, absolutely. So any other lurkers want to just pop up and say hi, feel free. Feel free. It's a very friendly environment for sure. Bleak is in the house with a hey all. Scott, did anyone watch Ben Felix's video on ETF slop? I did. I saw it there this afternoon, and so while I was eating my lunch, I watched it. Yeah, I mean, he's on his tirade. Now, he does make some good points. I don't want to sort of say, oh my God, Ben Felix is out trying to attack covered calls and all of this other stuff. No, I mean, some of what the points he makes is fine. It's just that he doesn't. I don't think he fully gets that most people who are investing in covered calls, for example, are fully aware of the loss and upside potential, and it's a choice that they're making because that is the investment style that suits their life. And that's, I think, the one thing that he does miss. Now, one of the things that I agree with him 100% is that single stock ETFs, pretty darn dangerous, pretty darn, they can be. They can be. So, like, for example, look at MSTE. Look at what's happened with that. Now, there are some that have been very successful, and we all know this, but you have to sort of look at the fact that there is extra risk if it's a single stock. But that's the same way in investing as well, guys. If you're investing in one single company, so if you're just investing in strategy, you'd kind of be in the same boat. You'd be in the same boat for sure. So it's not really that different. It's just I like things to be diversified. So I look at, when I look at people who have a lot of single stock, like if you have a lot of the harvest ones, then I would probably say to you, well, why have all those separate ones? Why not just go with HHIS? Why not get that diversification? But you could throw back at me, well, Candace, I want to control how much I have. I want to control the weighting of those holdings, and that would make perfect sense. That would make absolutely perfect sense. But yeah, Ben Felix, I know he means well. He means well, but I think he just doesn't fully understand why. Now, I noticed he did change some of his language a little bit. I think he used the word instead of all people. He's starting to use like most. So he's leaving a little bit of room, a little bit of wiggle room there. But yeah, I did see it. I did see it. And and here's the thing, guys. If you are a covered call investor, if you don't understand how they work, um, I would put that as a high priority is learning how they work, understanding what you're getting into, understanding how they work, understand about that loss and upside potential. Ask questions. You could ask questions here. All of that fun stuff. All right. Marina. Okay, here we go. What's your strategy for selling a fund experiencing NAV erosion over time? My total return remains strong, but selling would lock in capital losses. Should I bite the bullet and sell or hold? Okay. All right. So you have, all right. So in this case here, I think Marina has an ETF that the overall price is, now you're saying NAV erosion, so that means the price is coming down. So here's the thing though, if you sell it, and I kind of want to, you're looking at capital losses, so I'm going to assume you're holding it outside of a registered account. So yeah, if you sell it, like if you want to move out of it, and it is in a situation where it's in a capital loss situation, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You can bank those capital losses. I mean, if you don't have any capital gains to apply them to. So there's nothing wrong with that. The part that I'm happy to hear, though, is that right now the total return is in the green, which is a good thing. But yeah, if you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, well, the NAV is going down, it keeps on going down and down and down. Well, yeah, if it keeps going down, so let's look at an example, MSTE. When that NAV kept going down and down, what ended up happening? A whole bunch of dividend cuts. So with those dividend cuts, you may all of a sudden, it makes it harder to stay in the green because you're not getting as big of a total return anymore. So that might be an issue. So yeah, if you're deciding, okay, it's time to pull the trigger, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Just make sure that you know that you can use those capital losses somewhere down the road if you have capital gains in something that you sell, which is fantastic. So yeah, and that's a thing. And I always look at it this way: know where your line is. So if something is falling, and this is kind of my philosophy. If I have a covered call stock, if the market's going up but it's losing its net asset value, it's going down, I'm not interested in that stock. I want a stock that is matching at least the market. So I have no problem, personally, I have no problem with selling if that's the situation. It really comes down to what you feel for that ETF. Like, you might have faith, like maybe there's something going on with the holdings that it's holding. And right now, I think some of the areas that we are seeing this are, like I said, I mentioned MSTE, but a lot of them are the single stock ones, kind of going back to Ben Felix, the one area that, he did certainly hit some good points on. Yeah, that's kind of the way I would do it. There's nothing wrong. Like for me, I've got no problem with selling. If I've got something that's not performing, I have no problem selling it, even if I'm taking a loss. I have no problem. I'll take a loss and move it into something that will perform. Now the big exception to this whole rule is if we're in a bear market. If we're in a bear market and everything is falling, doesn't mean I won't sell. It doesn't mean I won't take a loss, but I'm not gonna, I won't sort of say, okay, oh gosh, everything's falling, I gotta sell everything. No, I would never do that. I would just sort of look at it on a case basis. So, sometimes even if we're in a loss, if we are in a bear market, there might be an asset that, maybe it's falling faster than the market. And maybe I'm looking at the long term on it and I'm like, you know what, the fundamentals aren't making sense to me anymore. Then I might want to move it. That's perfectly fine. So, yeah, it really boils down to, like I said, where you're comfortable with it. And if it is a situation that you want to move it into something that is moving in the right direction, that's never a bad thing. And Jan is in the house. Let's see. I've been trading SVM quite well lately. I'm very small and cautious. I'm going to do a bit of SVM if all looks good Monday, like 5 shares. Also, EDR has been good. Long holding also. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Now, of course, Jan is one of our channel members, and one of the things that channel members do get to see is I do post my swing trades. So as I make trades, I do post them to the channel members. So that is something that Jan has been watching, but I like that you're doing your own thing. I love that a lot. It shows that you, because the reason I don't post my swing trades so that you guys can go and just do the exact same trades. I post my swing trades so that you can see my reasoning, that you can sort of see what I'm thinking. And I really need to start I think I need to start breaking them down a little bit more as well when I post them to the channel members. But, we can talk about that. Oh, by the way, speaking of channel members, this Thursday night is the channel member live stream. So that's coming up pretty darn fast. So I'm looking forward to it. I should get a posting out to you guys pretty soon to see if there's anything you guys want me to cover. All right, Bismarcky, it's a good time to start accumulating oil ETFs. Yeah, I would agree. While oil is down, absolutely. And let's see, Jan says, I have a small animal sanctuary. I don't think about their food bills as compared to mine. They're my opus. Nice. I love animals. I mean, we've got 3 cats. And let's see here. Janet is in the house with a hello, everyone. And the great niece has come in from Sweden. Hey, niece, how are you doing? Always good to see you. Oh, another lurker. This could be lurker day. So yeah, Nikki says another lurker here. Hi, Candace. Happy Sunday. It was good to see you. I hope, I hope you're having a great day. Luke says Pet Value has over 800 stores in Canada, on its way to 1,000. Stock is down because they invested heavily in modern warehouses, distribution centers in Calgary and Surrey, BC. Nice. And you see, I love that part, Luke, because yeah, sometimes you'll look at a stock and it's down and you'll be like, okay, I may not be interested in that. Well, maybe you should look and find out why they're down. If it's a company that you think is interesting, in this case here, yeah, if a company wants to invest to expand, sometimes that will pull them down a little bit. Of course it will. And that usually, a lot of times, that ends up meaning that they're getting ready to do a lot better in the, once that expansion is complete, if they've added extra capacity, things like that. So yeah, that can be a good thing. And you just reminded me of something, Luke. I wanted to mention something. All right, let's go back here. So I did a deep dive a few years ago on Aritzia. And, I talked a little bit about Aritzia, and I didn't see a lot of opportunity in Aritzia back then. But I'll tell you, sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I get things very wrong. And Aritzia has surprised me. They have surprised me. Let's pull up Aritzia. I do have them over here. Let me grab them. I put them on here. All right. So Aritzia is actually doing pretty darn good. Now, they just had earnings. Now, you can see this big gap here. Their earnings were really, really good. Now, these were on Friday. So basically, first of all, let's just take a quick look at their earnings. They beat on earnings by 23.60%. That's fantastic. And they also beat on their revenue by 11.35%. So Aritzia has really turned things around. Now, and I'm going to just see here if I can pull in a little bit more just so that you guys can get a full appreciation. Like, look at this. They have been on an upward tear. Now, why did I get this wrong? Well, I got this wrong because at the time, Aritzia was mostly leaning on their brick and mortar part of the business. They weren't really doubling down on, on selling online. They did sell online, but they really weren't pushing in that direction. Well, guess what? They fixed it. They have really, really pushed their online sales, and their online sales have been exploding. So Aritzia has been doing really, really fantastic with this new model. Also, their expansion into the U.S. So they've got, they're doing great. Like a lot of, I think about half, more than half of their income, I believe, is now coming from the United States. So they've really, really doubled down on online. They still got their brick and mortar presence in both Canada and the United States, but online has been exploding for them, and it has been working. So I'm happy to see this. I'm happy to see this for sure. So Aritzia, looking good, looking very, very good. I'm liking it. I'm liking it for sure. But yeah, this is one that I did not see this type of explosive future for him, and I'm glad I'm wrong. I'm glad I'm wrong on this one. All right. Prairie says, on the subject of oil, oil is just about everything these days. Even if government bans it for energy use, it's still needed for consumables. Yeah, absolutely. And Kiera says, another lurker here. Hi, Candace. Happy Sunday. It's lurker day. We got 3 lurkers coming out of the shadows. This is fantastic. It is good to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Prairie says, live stream of the lurkers. Welcome to you all. I agree. Well, it's not welcome. They're already here, but it's just like, yeah. I love my lurkers. I do. Scott says, should HHIS have Coinbase and MSTE in its holdings, or is it the case where those are integral to the higher yield? I don't know. I don't know if I'd call them integral. Obviously, they certainly help. But I think if they're doing poorly, what I would see HHIS doing is maybe adjusting their share amount. So, for example, while MSTE struggles, you can sort of, you can pare them down a little bit. So that might be what they do. I would actually, I know Adriano has had a chance to talk to the fund managers, but I'd love to have an opportunity to talk to those fund managers because I got a lot of questions. Rob says, Candace, what are your thoughts about the markets in regards to the jobs report when AI takes hold? AI. AI's coming for you, Rob. It is. Maybe not in a bad way, though. I am really impressed. Like, one of the things, guys, here's the thing. When you look at human robots, well, a year ago, if you looked at any of the models, they were having trouble picking things up. They were clumsy as can be. Well, along came CES, and we got to see robots doing gymnastics. We got to see robots kicking things in the air. I am legitimately surprised at how fast robots are coming along. I am legitimately surprised. It's craziness how much more advanced robots have gotten in such a short amount of time. And the fact that some of these robotic companies are already shipping robots to customers, humanoid robots. So it's coming fast. It's coming fast for you, Rob. Maybe not just you, but for all of us. So here's the thing. If right now, I will say this, if you have a job that is repetitive, that, you don't change your location that much, those are going to be the type of jobs I think that the robots will come for first. But they're coming. They're going to be a major part of, of the workforce. Don't be surprised. In 5 years, don't be surprised if you turn to look at the person working next to you and it's a robot. Don't be surprised. The world is changing so fast right now. I can almost, like, if you imagine what it was like for people back in the Industrial Revolution, when all of a sudden machines were coming up, and automation and the printing press and all of these big changes, this blows all of that away. And it is coming. It's coming really, really fast. So, yeah, when we look at the jobs report right now, yeah, we have a situation where there's more jobs and more unemployment at the same time. That's an interesting, to me, that's interesting. Normally they move lock and step. So I'm not saying that it is AI, but here's the reality. If you have, let's just say, uh, let's say you have a marketing team that creates marketing, and normally it takes a certain amount of time. Well, now, if you have that same team that's using AI to help them make the marketing, guess what? They can produce a lot more marketing with a lot less time. So yeah, you probably don't need the 20 people you needed before to get all your marketing done. Maybe 10. Maybe you only need 10 with AI assistance. So we are starting to see that filter in. I think we're going to see jobs start to slowly disappear. I think, the unemployment rate, it will go up. It'll go up over time. And we will have to, of course, find a workaround, because obviously if too many people get unemployed, there needs to be some kind of a social net. And, there's talk about UBI. I don't think we're there yet, but it will become a real something in the future for sure. All right. Scratch says EDR looks great. Nice. And guys, just quickly, we got a super sticker coming in from Marina. So thank you, Marina. $1.99 super sticker. And that, guys, releases another goat. So we now have a goat number 2 popping up into our corral. Gotta love it. That also means, guys, we're about 3 goats away from the new the new goat, the new ice skating goat, or ice dancing. I'm gonna call it ice dancing, and you'll see. Well, no, ice skating. It's ice skating. Yeah, there's skates involved. So, but there's something weird about this goat too. If we get there, I'll point it out. I'll point it out for sure. All right. Oh, let's get back to the live chat here. All right, and Lisa is in with a welcome to the lurkers. Andrew says, what are your thoughts on NA.TO? I'm way overweight on my favorite bank and thinking to either sell for more high cager names or letting it ride. So National Bank, I like National Bank quite a bit. So obviously, one of the things that is good about National Bank is they did spend a bit of money to, of course, acquire Canadian Western Bank. So that is improving their footprint in the West, making them a truly national bank. And I like that for them. I think long term, they're going to do fantastic. So will they do better than other banks? I think they have more room to grow than other banks. So that might be a big thing for them. But I do like them. But nonetheless, I can honestly say one thing is that whichever of the big 6 you're holding, I think you're going to have a solid choice. Like I like all of our banking system. It's one of the reasons that I gravitate a little bit with banks. I gravitate to ETFs. But yeah, I like National Bank. I think the National Bank has a little more to grow than some of the banks. So if I had to narrow it down to 3, I would say Royal Bank, CIBC, and National Bank would be the 3 I think that'll probably grow the most. But this is the banking sector. I could be absolutely wrong too, but those are the 3 I think will do the best over the next year. Tony says, understand selling losers for winners, but currently conflicted thinking of selling winners for bank. Okay, so BNS and TD. So yeah, both of them doing fantastic. Scotiabank had a really good year. Well, Harold, let's take a look. BNS, here we go, the Bank of Nova Scotia. And we'll just pull up the last year. So, I mean, yeah, look at this. This is not too shabby, from 72, roughly 72, 73, up to 100. So that's really, really good. They had a fantastic year. Yeah, I mean, the big thing to keep in mind, Tony, is that making that move, you are going to sacrifice some of your total return, of course, because, bank, as well as it's doing, it's not going to give you the same total return. It's probably going to fall a little bit short than holding the banks per se. But, and here's this big but, if we get a little bit more of a flat year for the banks. So if the banks don't, if they sort of cool off a little bit in 2026, and many people think they will, I kind of think they will, bank might do really, really well compared to them. So because, bank, you're going to get, of course, you're going to get all that income, and you will get, a certain amount of the upside as well. So bank might be an interesting choice. So I wouldn't call you, I wouldn't call that a bad move. I can see, and you know what? You don't even have to do the whole thing. You could always just sort of say, well, let's sell TD and put that into bank, or maybe Scotiabank. So you don't have to, or maybe a portion of both. So you don't have to go all or none. That's one beautiful thing about investing. As you know, a lot of times I have people torn, like, oh, I want to get railroad access. Do I get CNR? Do I get CP? It's like, well, you can always get both. It doesn't, there's nothing wrong with that for sure. And that is better diversification too. All right. JJ says, it's night of the chatting lurkers. It is. I love it. I love it. Scott says everything at CES this year had AI in its name. Pretty much. Yep. All right. Maria says, the secret goat. By any chance, does the number 5 clue have anything to do with a pentagram or Minecraft? No. No pentagrams, no Minecraft. But hey, I like guesses. I like guesses, that's for sure. Rory says, I, Robot. Yeah. Well, I watched this one video, guys. It's funny. I wish I probably should have found the video. But it was a guy who was working with his robot, and they were doing some some martial art type moves together. Well, he kind of got out of pace a little bit with the robot. So when he went and did a kick, well, the robot did a kick too, but the robot connected with his unmentionables. And that's always funny. I even, when we were watching it, I even said, I wonder if this is the first guy in history to get kicked in the, in the you-knows with a robot. I don't, maybe, probably not, but nonetheless, it was amusing. Scott says, my guess for the secret goat is 5 gifted subs. That, Scott, is, that's a good guess. That's a really good guess. I'm not going to confirm it, but only say that it's a very good guess. That's all I will say. Rob says, here in Calgary last night, we had a petition signing for Alberta to separate from Canada. Should that happen, I wonder what the new anthem will be for Alberta. Oh, Alberta, our home and native land. No, it's probably going to be some kind of country music song, maybe, it's like, we got beer and we got oil and a dump truck and I don't know. My mom would know. My mom sings country. I don't know it very well, other than I grew up hearing it a lot. Rory says, Alberta, USA, more like it. There we go. Max is in the house with a good afternoon. And let's see, Bismarcky, thinking of selling some bank to add 60. Nice. Oh my gosh, we got another super sticker here, guys. We're in here with Abby. Abby has a super sticker, 139. And guess what, guys? This is another lurker. Another lurker popping up. And it's also goat number 3. So that's our third goat of the day. We got one more goat before we get into the skating goat. Oh boy. And that could be fun. Actually, you know what, guys? I'm gonna, just give me 1 second here. I brought up, I had 2 skating goats, and the one I rejected, I accidentally, that's the one I accidentally downloaded. So let me go with, here we go. I'm gonna pull up the one I want to use, but it'll be a 2-for-1. If we get there, I will show you both. I will show you both. I have no qualms doing that. All right. And let's see here. Back here to Abby. Here we go. Rob. Once again, thank you, Abby. Always nice to see the lurkers coming out strong. Exactly, right here. It's Lurkers Live today. Yes, absolutely. I might have to change. I might have to change the title. I might have to go in and change the title to Lurkers Live Day. I think it's awesome. All right, Rob says, should Alberta become the 51st state? It could mean a good thing too, but I suspect that we could have more chaotic moments like what we had seen in Minneapolis yesterday. Well, the good news, Rob, is if, let's just say, let's go down the rabbit hole. If Alberta were to separate, for them to become a state, it's not just Donald Trump just can't say, welcome aboard, you're now a state. It has to go through a whole bunch of, there's a lot of steps. So by the time Alberta could actually become the 51st state, Trump's term will probably be already over. So hopefully there'll be a bit of sanity when that happens. So I think you'd be fine. But speaking as a Canadian who loves Alberta, I hope that doesn't happen. Chuck says, what is unique about Micron tech chips? I once heard an analyst say that Micron chips complement NVIDIA other chips instead of competing with them. Please explain. All right. Oh boy. That's a great question. It's a great question. I don't know what is different about theirs. Now, there was a company that OpenAI had, was it OpenAI? No. I'm trying to think of it. Maybe it is Micron. There's a company that they have developed a chip, and I don't know if it's Micron. It might be, but I'm not 100% sure. So take this with a grain of salt. But I know that NVIDIA was interested in working with a company that had a chip that was designed for large language models. Because the NVIDIA chips, of course, they're graphics. They're actually graphics cards, graphics chips that are being repurposed for AI. And they're great for training AI. Really, really good for training AI. But this other company's chips, and it could be Micron, but once again, double check, guys. I'm not 100% sure if it was Micron, but I think it might have been. They have a chip that is really, really good for large language models and for basically running AI once it's loose in the wild. So like not for training, but for after training. And I think that was part of what was going on. And there may have been a relationship. I don't know if it was Micron though. So I have to, oh boy, I have to double check that. But yeah, I get bombarded, guys, by so much chip news. But I think that's what it was. Let's see here. Jan says, Candace, your live streams and swing trade posts have been extremely helpful in developing a system and confidence to start and see what's possible. I'd love to see more in depth about your picks. Yeah, I'll try to put more information in there and just sort of explain what I'm doing, or especially when I just make a move. Even if I just go in after the fact and sort of then give you a bit of more information. Scott saying Micron are memory chips, not compute chips. And let's see, Roy says, knowing your luck, Trump will live to be 110 and stay in power until 2035. There's always that possibility. I mean, if we ever got to a point where he stays in power beyond the 3 years, there's bigger problems in the Western Hemisphere than than Trump living to 110, because that would basically be, well, that means that there would be no more democracy in the United States, and I don't particularly want to see that. I kind of like the idea of democracy. I kind of like the idea of, different parties working together or fighting against each other at least. Yeah. Definitely interesting. Oh, gosh. All right. I'm going to have some coffee now, guys. Excuse me. Lisa says, Candace, I saw you made a post on Blossom. Thanks, lurkers. Check it out if you haven't already. Yeah, so I got this thing the other day from ChatGPT. Actually, I can show it to you guys. You guys want to see it? Let me... I just got to pull up Chat GPT, and we'll go here, and I just got to find it. Yeah, right over here. All right, here we go. Here it is. I got this thing from Chat GPT the other day. So it's your year with Chat GPT. So I was like, all right, what's up with that? So, I checked it out, and it brought up some stuff here. I don't know if you can see it. So yeah, it says you climbed every market peak with cheer. Each chart and yield curve crystal clear. From HYLD to HDivs climb, you turn data into rhyme. What a mountain of progress this year. Let's see, big three themes of 2025. And whoops, let's go back here. Mastering Canadian income ETFs. Let's see, you deepened your expertise in Canadian covered call and income ETFs, turning research into polished videos that combined education, storytelling, and market insight. Building a cohesive channel brand. You refined Mountain Finance's identity, consistent thumbnails, subscriber CTAs, and live formats, turning your YouTube presence into a recognizable professional ecosystem. Let's see, community coaching and connection. You expanded beyond videos, coaching clients, running interactive member live streams, and nurturing a loyal audience and values, leaning and your approachable teaching style. All right, pretty cool. All right. And these are my big chat stats. So ChatGPT made 284 images for me in the last year. So that's pretty cool. Apparently, I'm in the first 1% of users. I talk to AI a lot. What can I say? Messages, chattiest. Apparently, December 10th, I talked a lot to ChatGPT on that day. Don't know why, but, and whoops, we went that way. All right, and this over here, apparently I've also mentioned cats quite a bit. And here's this thing I posted on the thing. Basically, if there were awards for last year, ChatGPT said I would get the Yield Whisperer Award for turning every ETF launch, tariff threat, and dividend drip into must-see Canadian finance TV with punchlines almost as sharp as your Murr analysis. I love it. So yeah, my archetype is the producer. Also, apparently I'm a doer, and a little picture of a beaver mug, the city of Ottawa, and a dividend report. Boy, does ChatGPT know me pretty well. Let's see what. Oh, and this here is So yeah, and then it says a quiet Sunday live stream will remind you exactly why you started this journey. Ooh, is this a quiet Sunday live stream? And then thanks for chatting this year. So there we are. That was ChatGPT, folks. What ChatGPT thought about my year. What can I say? All right. All right. Rob says, will silver have a green week? That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes, but we'll see. We'll see. Because I know there's a lot of people talking about silver resets and stuff, but I'm just going to hold. I'm going to hold steady. I'm going to say yes. I'll say yes for now. Marina says, my final guess for today, does number 5 relate to your channel's upcoming 5-year anniversary? Oh, that's a... Holy banana bread. Marina, you've done your research. It doesn't. Scott, look at what Scott guessed. So Scott guessed it. I'll tell you guys what it is. So to unlock the first secret goat, it's 5 gifted subs. So when somebody comes along and gives 5 of you guys a gift, that unlocks that goat. So, I have no problem saying it because Scott guessed it. But Marina, I do love the 5 and 5 going in there. Oh, speaking of numbers, we're getting closer to 10,000. So we really gotta come up with something. We gotta come up with something for sure. Scott said, did your Blossom profile person show up in chat today? No, I've not seen her yet, but if she does, then we'll do her thing. I don't want to do it if she's not here, because you know it feels weird to be. It's like I take you guys on a tour of somebody I know's house when they're not there. It would feel kind of weird. So, silver will have a dark green year. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, and we did talk about Blossom, guys. Let me just drop this. I'm going to drop to you guys the link for Blossom. I'm going to endeavor to say more things over there on the Blossom. So the link below that I just dropped, that's how you sign up to the Blossom app. You can use it on the desktop as well. I use it on the desktop, I won't click on it right now because it has it has the other person's profile on there. I don't want to go there until she's ready. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more over there. Being an ambassador over on Blossom, I need to talk more. So that's kind of one of my unofficial New Year's resolutions, is to just be a little more interactive over there. But over there, I will, if you do sign up, please follow me. I'll follow you back, because that's what I look at. I look at the people following me. That's whose posts I look at. And then those are the ones I'll interact with. So yeah, absolutely. Check out Blossom. Check me out over there, and let's have a conversation. There we go. Mayor says, what is all this talk about commodity reset or repricing? As if you wake up one morning and gold is 20K. What is this weird hype? I haven't paid attention to it, but I also don't tend to spend a lot of time on some of the more, I don't want to say conspiracy sites, but I have heard nothing about it, other than I've heard a couple people asking me about it here. I've heard nothing about it, and I don't think we're going to get like a commodity reset that way. I think the reset that was spoken about earlier here was more or less people selling gold and silver or such out of ETFs or something to rebalance them, but I'm not 100% sure. So just something to keep in mind. If anybody does have a better idea, drop it in the chat, because like I said, I haven't heard anything about it. I suppose we could. Let's see. Oh boy. Let's see if Google knows anything about this commodity reset. Oh boy. Sometimes I worry if I type in a topic into Google, what am I going to get back? Let's see here. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. So yeah, here we go. Here's something right here. Let's just pull it up here. Gold and silver. Sure. I don't know. I do not know. I'm not familiar with this website at all. So take this with a grain of salt, guys. Let's see. Gold and silver face a test of strength as annual index rebalancing begins. Oh, okay. Well, that's a normal thing, guys. The annual index rebalancing. That's simply, there are many ETFs that balance once a year. Normally it's in January. So if there is some people that are looking like they have, for example, because gold has done really well this year, in the last year, so has silver. So there may be some ETFs that are like, okay, we're overexposed to gold. We have to sort of sell a little bit. So that's what I think people are talking about. And yeah, I'm right here. Some of the key takeaways. Gold and silver face near-term volatility. Of course, if you've got a lot of people buying and selling, because if you're selling it, somebody's buying it, that could cause some volatility. Is it going to cause a crash in the price of gold? It'll cause volatility, not necessarily a crash. So just something to keep in mind. And estimated rebalancing flows are large in notional terms, but concentrated in paper markets and do not reflect a deterioration in the underlying fundamentals. There's the key words right there. Deterioration in the underlying fundamentals. It is not going to cause that. So yeah, nothing to worry about. I'm actually glad this site turned out to be accurate. How prices have behaved during the 5-day rebalancing will be an important signal of whether recent gains were momentum driven or supported by deeper demand. So that's kind of that thing. If there's a demand, if the demand is there, then you don't have to worry about it so much, because here's the thing. It'll be bought if someone's selling it. It doesn't create a lot of pressure, because your buying pressure, selling pressure, it can equal each other out. So yeah, I don't think, like I said, I don't think I'm going to stick to the silver will stay green. All right. We've got a new channel member. Claudia has jumped in for a channel membership, and that does unlock number 4. There we go. Goat number 4 is up and at it. So guys, that means if we do get another gifted of any kind, or gifted, or a super, then we get to see the skating goats. Then the skating goats come out. And then we'll get to see, do I find the skating goats funny? I might. I might. I probably do. Scott says, oops, I think I skipped over one thing. Oh, no, I did skip over a few things. Scott, I'm going to get back to this. Boo. All right, yeah, I am actually right here. Rory, all I know is don't let Mr. Bean anywhere near monitors with stock charts and live trading. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want Mr. Bean to get near anything at all. That's for sure. Mayor, let's see, the rebalancing is a different thing. If you Google, for example, silver repricing, you'll see. So you're saying that's something else. Silver reprice? All right, let's go down this rabbit hole. Silver repricing. All right, let's see here. I'm not going to go to any of these these YouTubes, because guess what? That's where sometimes some of the conspiracy figures tend to go. Let's see, another swing at shorting silver. Okay, there's shorting. And you see here, just looking here at silver slips on index rebalancing as job data looms. Yeah, and you see, and just looking, like here's goldsilver.com. This is at least a little bit. Commodity index rebalancing pressures gold. Yeah, and I'm even in here, I'm not really seeing a lot of any kind of a repricing. So I would take that with a grain of salt, guys. I don't think it is something you have to worry about. I really don't. I think it's more or less just, and I've heard different people saying they're going to reset the price of this, or they're going to, no, they're not. I mean, the price of silver, it's based on, well, this is what people are willing to pay for it. It doesn't just change big time, not unless something major happens. Like, for example, if a giant source of silver were discovered, let's just say unlimited silver or something, I don't know. That might certainly cause some issues, but I don't think we have to worry about it. All right, now I get back to Scott. I offer my Blossom, but it's boring. It's all bank, eBank, QQCL, and USCL, which make up about 12% of my portfolio to get monthly income. No worries. We don't have to do it every single time. So I always just, it's just that thing. Like, and guys, if you have just joined up over there on Blossom, if you do hook up your portfolio and you want me to look at it one Sunday, just message me. It's always first come, first serve. I do not mind looking at portfolios. A Scratch says, I really do believe that fiat money around the world is in danger. Forget the paper market and get physicals while it's still available. Just my 2 cents. Okay, fair enough. There's a lot of people that think fiat is on the way out. I think it's going to take a while, but I do see currency going digital. Like, I think central bank currencies will probably become a thing. How quickly will that happen, though? That's going to be the interesting thing. That'll be the interesting thing for sure. Pierre is in the house with a hi, Candace. I am late to the party. I hope you are well. If you had $5K and wanted to invest in XEQT, how would you do it? Lump sum? 5K. That's a great question. It would really depend. So let's just say, for example, if there was a big crash on Monday, I probably would go lump sum. But if it was just normal market as normal, which I think it will be, um, yeah, like even then, it's hard to say. I mean, a lump sum is probably going to be fine on something like XEQT. When you really look at it long term, it's not going to make a huge difference if you go in right away or if you, do 1,000 a week for the next 5 weeks. Yeah, it really, really depends on you. Because if you look at one thing, and let's actually do this. And you know what? We'll actually use XEQT for this. Why not? And let's just go. We'll go to the 1 year. So as you notice, I mean, you might get lucky. Like maybe, so maybe if we're sitting around here and we do go into this, that would be fantastic, right? You'd be able to get a little bit cheaper, and dollar cost averaging would hit that for sure. But here's one of the things with waiting is, let's say we're down about here and you wait for a dip and you wait for a dip and then you finally get a dip over here. That dip ends up being higher than where you were at. So that's always another consideration that I would put in there. But dollar cost averaging, I mean, you're getting a fair value. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. So I would say, you know what? If you're inclined to do dollar cost averaging, I would, why not? Why not do that? Do the dollar cost averaging, unless, like I said, if you get a giant dip, because you can always, like, if you're dollar cost averaging and you've got a bunch of money set aside and you're just sort of moving it slowly in, one, if you've got a whole bunch of money, I hope you're sitting it in something like a cash ETF, so you're at least getting some amount of something for it. But here's that thing: if you do get that big dip, and you're sitting on a whole bunch, there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, I'm going to take a little bit more this time and put it in, because the market's in a hole. I'm liking this hole. But at the same time, having said that, you never know. Like when you fell into this hole here, and I wonder if I go to 6 months. Yeah, here we go. We can see this better. So when you fell into this hole, you might be thinking, oh, this is a great time to buy. But look, you had another hole to go into right away. And then it looks like things are turning around, but then you had another hole. So that's always a possibility. That's where dollar cost averaging sort of removes the whole idea of having to try to guess, having to time the market. So if you look at most situations, dollar cost averaging, those people do tend to have better returns overall on the longer scale than most people who are trying to time the market. There's some people that get lucky with timing the market. There's some people that are just really good at it. But for the most part, the dollar cost averagers do tend to do better because they're paying a half decent prices. They're buying high, they're buying low, they're buying everywhere's in between. But it does tend to work out better because a lot of times people trying to time the market absolutely botcher it. Especially in these situations where, like if you're trying to time the market, and let's go back to the 1 year, if you're sitting here and you're like, oh, I know there's going to be a big dip, and you wait and you wait and you finally got a bigger dip up here, well, like I said, you've paid more than if you had just bought. If you were dollar cost averaging, you would have paid a lot less overall over that time frame instead of waiting for the dip. All right, Mayor says the conspiracy theory is that banks like JP Morgan suppress the price of silver and doesn't let it get priced appropriately because they are short silver, but now they are long. So here's the thing, though, guys. Silver is a worldwide commodity. I can't see one single bank having enough power to do that. To be honest, I can't. So I don't put a lot of theory into that. Like, yeah, people are saying, oh, they're shorting this or they're shorting that. They might be shorting them, but how is that going to impact the overall price? It's hard to say. Probably not a lot. Let's see. Feels like all crypto bros move to silver. Same style of arguments and HODL, HODL mentality. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And that's the thing. I know I keep hearing things, people complaining, oh my God, there's going to be a giant silver short, or there's going to be, and I'm just like, no, I don't see anything happening out of the ordinary. And that's the thing. I mean, someday there will be a conspiracy theory that comes along and it will be right. and I will probably get screwed by it. But I'm okay with that because, I'm not falling into every single rabbit hole that opens up. I might go down to them as a thought experiment, but, I like to be a little on that conservative side, and I like to look at what data I actually have and follow, evidence-based investing. It'll save you from going down a lot of rabbit holes. Paul, see, made phone holder with blue tape and a glasses case. Nice. Now shredding paper. Found dishwasher parts in the pile of paper. That one that fell off the bottom rack. Nice. Absolutely. Paul, sounds like you're MacGyvering your way through through your cleanup. I love it. Scott says XEQT is a buy and hold and add to over 30 years. Yeah, XEQT, I love it. It's a very good, most people. So I do a little financial coaching, and I will usually tell people that, if they ask me my opinion on XEQT, I will say this is one of these ones that I think is a fantastic way to get super diversification across the board, especially if you're looking to build a long-term growth portfolio. It fits in there really, really well, for sure. Scott says it's time in the market, not timing the market. There you go. There you go. Mayor says, well, silver did something in the past year that it never did. It always went up and immediately crashed afterwards, but I agree. These shortage stories are stretched. Yeah, they definitely are, for sure. So I wouldn't be super concerned about them. That's for sure. Oh, guys, believe it or not, the next video, we're actually looking at stocks. I know it's been a while, but every year I like to pick 5 stocks that I think are gonna do a little better this year. So as you guys know, I just reviewed last year's 5 stocks. So we're doing that all over again. That will be coming out on Tuesday. Although if you're a channel member, you get to watch those a day early. So you'll be able to watch that tomorrow afternoon. Scratch says TD's Bullion Shop have a few silver ounces with a $10 premium priced in. Who would have ever believed it just a year ago? Yeah. No, I mean silver, and we've already talked about this. Silver, gold, and copper. That's kind of like our holy trio of electrical. Well, I don't want to say electrical, but they all conduct electricity. So they're not electrical per se, but they conduct it a lot, really well. And once again, it's column 11 in the periodic table. So they have similar properties. So that's the thing. They are all so crucial in electronics, like all 3 of them. So I have huge bullishness on all 3 for that very reason. Morley says, Candace is teaching us to trade your chart, not your heart. Yeah. If you trade with emotions, oh boy, it never goes well. It never goes well. Investing is one of those things where you want to check your emotions at the door. And if you can't check your emotions at the door, you got 2 options. One, have a plan. Have a pre-made plan on when you will act. So for example, okay, when will I sell? Under what circumstances? When will I add to, whatever it takes to avoid things like FOMO, so fear of missing out, or FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Because a lot of times emotional traders, they end up buying high and selling low. And that's a prescription for losing a lot of money. So you don't want to get caught up in doing the exact opposite of what makes a successful trader. So just something to keep in mind. All right, a mayor says, oh, I have another Canada question. Are there any Canadian option caller strategy ETFs? I'm looking to hedge while getting income. So option caller. Interesting. We got covered calls, of course. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by option caller, and that's interesting. Well, you know what? if I'm not 100% sure, I'm going to do what I do first. Let's just Google this. Boop-a-doop-doo. All right, because we might have another name for it. Option caller. There we go. Option caller strategy. Let's pull it up here. Let's see. Option caller strategy is a method of managing risk used by investors who own stock and want protection against large short-term losses while agreeing to limit their possible gains. It's often employed when an investor has significant profits on a stock and anticipates potential price swings, such as before an earnings announcement. Okay. Yeah, it's not a strategy that I've really heard being used, at least not so much up here. Now, if you are an actual options trader, this might be something that's used that might happen within option trading. I don't do any options trading myself. I just use cover calls. They work fine for me. So I think that's why I'm not super familiar with option caller strategy, but yeah, it's probably a strategy of just wait, there's lots of ways you can hedge against, perceived changes in price, whether it be through price drops and that. I will tend to, quite honestly, what I like to do is I will play. So let me give you an example here. Let's actually go over here to Aritzia. Aritzia just had a price. Now, coming into Aritzia, if I did not know what was going to happen here, so I got a couple of options. One, if I know that we're going to get a major price spike in Aritzia, typically what I would do swing trading wise is, if this was my target, I would probably buy and then I would sell up here. That's kind of what I would do. Now, if it was a situation where I wasn't sure and I thought it was going to go down, so if I thought it was going to go down, I would then have a couple of options. One, I could simply be prepared to buy it if it goes down, especially if they have good fundamentals. If they go down because of an earnings call, I know they're coming back up. I know they are, unless there's something really seriously wrong. But if they have very good fundamentals and people are just upset because of something in the earnings or maybe because they missed, I'm probably going to buy in here and ride it back up. That would be kind of a swing trade idea, going that way. Now, if I was expecting them to go down and then this did happen, well, in that case there's nothing I can do. I missed that boat, and that's fine. It happens. So that's kind of the way I would look at it. But when it comes to, if I'm a big time investor and I want to hedge my my investments, there are ways to do it. But this maybe the collar strategy or your option collar strategy is probably one way to do it. So, like if you're expecting the price to go down, maybe you're writing some shorts on the side to, so that way you're at least recouping some money as it goes down. But at the most part, if it's got good fundamentals, I honestly don't care. I'll just ride it out. There's no need for me to try to, to short it or anything like that. And like I said, I don't really trade options, so I wouldn't do that. Scratch says made more than 100% from my your platinum buys. Nice, yes. Let's see, going back to the selling winners, TD and BNS, maybe look at ZEB or H Bank instead of 6-year bank. Yeah, if you're looking at something like ZEB or H Bank, then you're removing the whole loss of upside potential. And that's that thing. So, sometimes, as much as we all love bank, as much as we all love 6-y, those are providing income. And depending on what your goals are, if your goals are not to create income, if your goals are just straight up total return, straight up growing your portfolio, then yeah, you are, Scott's 100% right. You're better off with a non-covered call version, so that way there you can just get in there and stack, and still get all of that money. But I have a feeling though you're looking for some income, because the fact that you're kind of, it's almost like you had a twinkle in your eye when you said bank. So that's kind of where I'm thinking you want to go. But if you're, if the income is not your thing, then yeah, Scott, 100%. BNKL HCal would be should be better, shouldn't it? It depends on, once again, it all depends on your motivations for sure. Mayor, an American example of a collar is SPYH. Okay. Buffer funds are another option like SBAR. Buffer funds. Actually, Ben Felix attacked some of the buffer funds. And I understand that the closest thing that we have in Canada to a buffer fund, I think, is that that BMO Gold ETF spread. That one there, basically they're doing both. They're writing options in addition to. They've got their strike price. They also write an option against it, and it kind of works out to try to limit upside a little bit, or sorry, to get you closer to the upside. But yeah, I'm not. I'm kind of not a huge fan of buffer funds, but I do understand. I understand what they are, and I know how they try to limit. See, the problem with a buffer fund is it limits you in both directions. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, it is an alternative for sure. Just giving an alternative to cover call ETFs. Yep, want income. There we go. Tony wants income. Well, then in that case there, I do like bank. I mean, bank's done fantastic. Like, let's take a gander here. Boop-a-doo. Right over. Whoops. Here we go. So yeah, bank has actually had a really good year. Now, one of the reasons for that here is, here we go. So yeah, you've got a pretty good move. Like in the last year, bank has gone from 781 to 983. You're also getting your good dividends. And I've had, like, you know, in the conversation I had with Raj, those of you who haven't seen, by the way, I did an interview with the CEO of Evolve not that long ago. One of the things that we were talking about is just how they, you know, if it is strong, if there's a strong bull market, they might write on a lesser amount of the fund. So, you know, because a lot of times if they say we're going to, you know, if they say 33%, they don't, that means up to 33%. Obviously, if the market's really, really bullish and there's a lot of growth going on, they may, you know, maybe they'll only do 20% that, you know, that month, or that, you know, that 6 months if it's a really, really, really bullish market. Because they want to gain some more of that upside for, well, you know, for us, for those of us investing in them. And yeah, bank has done just absolutely fantastic. Now bank also has a little bit of leverage in there too. Now another one, and this is kind of the underrated one. Now this is eBank. This is their European one. And I'll pull up the year on that. And, you know, you look at this and you might think, oh, well, it doesn't quite look as steep as bank, but it actually is better. They did outperform bank. Now, this one invests in European banks. So it's been really a really good one. So actually, in the last video, when I was looking at the financial sector, I almost went with eBank instead of bank, but I decided to keep it Canadian. So even though this is a Canadian fund that invests in, you know, European banks, I just decided to go that route. But I love this one as well. All right. Can you marry H bank and bank, balance them according to your preferences? Or sorry, you can. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing is, you don't have to go all or one. Like you might have, like, you know, you might be thinking, okay, well, I like bank and I also like eBank, or maybe H bank. You know, you don't have to go all in. You can go a little of this, a little of that. The only thing I say is that if you do that a lot, it just means that you have more that you have to keep track of. But there's nothing wrong with that. Scott says 60 might be better if you're just bullish on Canadian banks, as bank has insurance companies. Yes, so bank also has the life cos. So your three, what is it? Manulife, Sun Life, Great Western Life, and Power Corporation of Canada is in there as well. 60 is, just the banks and semi-monthly. So it's a little more aggressive. So it is designed for a bit more income, for sure. Tony says, and bank just had a 9% dividend increase going from 11 to 12. That was fantastic. I love that. That one wasn't even on my radar until it happened. So I was like, ooh, that is pretty darn cool. Tom says, You may have already been asked this, but what has been one of your best swing trades? My best ever swing trade was it wasn't even planned per se, and it was a while back. It was actually it was Tesla, so the Tesla one. So this was back. It just so happened to be that the ex-dividend date of Tesla fell on the same day as earnings, as an earnings call for Tesla. So I went into Tesla. I basically was going in. It wasn't even an intentional swing trade. I went into Tesla planning to get the dividend. So it was actually a dividend capture move. But I went in, Tesla had a fantastic earnings, and this was a few years ago, and it just shot up. I was like, out of the blue, it was a couple $1,000s, just bang, boom, there. I can't even remember the exact amount. I think it was closer to $3,000 or something in one quick move. I was just like, okay, there we go. Bang, boom, I'm getting out. So it turned into a swing, even though it technically was a dividend capture. But that was probably the best, like, quick one. I think I think any swing that makes profits to me is always a good swing for sure. And I think the other big thing too is, like, if you're a swing trader, I don't go in looking for the moon. Go in and just sort of realize that, you know what, just use some safety. You get in the green. Depending on what's happening in the market, you might want to drop your stop loss in. You might want to, maybe by putting that stop loss in, you end up getting less profits than you could have. But many times, if you don't put that stop loss in and then the market reverses on you, you could get stuck in that trade for a lot longer. And I get stuck in trades sometimes. Well, both me and Tom right now, I think, are both still stuck in a Tesla trade. So it happens. It happens for sure. Claudia, I was about to say eBank has been great so far. Yeah, absolutely. eBank has been fantastic. Scratch, don't want to be a troublemaker, but I would like to know which Canadian banks short the silver paper market before investing into them. Just saying. No idea. I have no idea. So short the silver paper market before investing into them. Well, yeah. There you go. That might be something you might need to do a little research. Bring it back. Bring it back when you find out. I've never heard anything about that, but doesn't mean it didn't happen. That's for sure. Are you concerned about the whole Venezuela thing possibly affecting the Canadian economy? Maybe oil isn't a great thing to rely on. That's what the Saudis are saying anyway. I'm not super worried. I'm not worried at all, and I'll show you why. I think. All right, there's my whiteboard, but I don't want to go to that whiteboard. I want to go to this here. Let's pull this up here. So this is not accurate, guys. I just sort of threw some dots in here just to make it. But if these dots are your refineries, and it's not quite this way, there's a lot more of them than what I've got here. And the green is the pipelines coming down from Canada. So these arrows show the direction of oil flow. So oil goes from north to south. That's the way these are designed. And you might think, oh, you just flip a switch and you could turn the oil around, bring all that Venezuelan oil up north. Not so easy. So you have to sort of look at it. I'll give you an example here. Let me grab a pen. All right. Whoops, come on. Give me my pen. There we go. All right, so if this is an elevation going downhill and you've got your pipe, coming through. We'll put a red pipe here following the land. Well, in this part, let's just go here. In this part of the trip, you've got something called, you've got gravity. Gravity is helping you move that oil. So for that very reason, when you are configuring this, so just pump-wise, you don't have to pump. You really don't have to pump that part. You really don't. you're going to still want to have some certain amount of pumping, but depending on how long that is, that's going to be stuff that basically, you might have a smaller pump than what you would need if it were going uphill. So it's kind of that whole way. So all of the elevations, all of the changes, so all of that would have to be, well, that would all have to be reconfigured along that pipeline. And quite honestly, to make a pipeline move the other direction, you might as well just build another pipeline. It probably would be easier. So what does that mean? That means that all of the refineries in all of these other sections of the country, and I think they actually I think they're called PADS, PADDS, and I think there's 4 of them, 4 big ones, like one over here. Actually, I think there's 5. I think there's one here, one here, one here, a couple down here. But the reality is, these ones down here by the Gulf, yeah, you could retool them to do Venezuelan oil because that could come in through the Gulf, but that's it. Maybe about 10%. I've heard some estimates as high as 17, but about 10% of the Venezuelan oil could displace Canadian oil. But even then, honestly, these things have pretty big capacities. They're still probably going to be processing Canadian and Venezuela at the time. It's all heavy crude. So really, it's not going to be as big of an issue. People, like we've seen a lot of panic in the market, but that's nothing more than fear. That's nothing more than fear. We're absolutely fine. We're absolutely fine. Not to say that we shouldn't look at other markets, not to say that we shouldn't build a pipeline to the ocean, to the Pacific. Not saying that in any way, shape, or form. I think we should. I think we should diversify our markets nonetheless. But for right now, the U.S., it's not really a danger. It's not, it's not the end all for Canadian oil any way, shape, or form. So I'm not worried about it. Jan says, I sold EDR, some at $2.01 profit last week, Tuesday to Friday hold, SPT, plus 269 EDR. Looks a little flat right now to me, but it could pop. I'm watching it. Silver has been a ride, but might still have something in my humble opinion. Yeah, and keep in mind too, if we do get more volatility this week, just because of ETFs rebalancing, that could work in both directions. So if you're looking for some trades, you might find something in there. I don't know if I'm looking so much at silver, but we'll see. Scott says, I don't think the big players in oil will be affected too much. I'm not sure about the smaller players. If they get into tanker territory, it will be at a discount. Or, oh, sorry, takeover territory, not tanker. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm not really super concerned. I think once this stabilizes, and even then, I think a lot of the fear did stabilize towards the end of the week, but oil itself was down. So that kind of hid the fact that I think things were getting calmer here in Canada. Billy or Billo says, hey, if somebody had experimented the Wealthsimple Canadian index, they use the Morningstar Market Index compared to ZCN XEE tax loss and rebalancing for all 15 cents fee. You can exclude whatever you need. Okay. All right. That's interesting. That is interesting. So yeah, I haven't really played a lot with any of the Morningstar index, but yeah, that's interesting. Mayor says, I imagine they are going to ship all that Venezuela oil, and since they are stealing it, they are getting it on extraction costs. I think so anyway. Yeah, but somebody was also mentioning that apparently they're thinking there might be less oil than they thought, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I mean, they claim they're going to sell it and help out the people of the U.S. and Venezuela, unless they're selling it to themselves at a discount. Well, probably a discount. Let's see here. Hi, Candace. Are you bullish on uranium? Do you have any uranium holdings? All right. I am bullish on uranium. I don't have any direct uranium holdings. I do have, through like HHIC, for example, there is access, Cameco. Cameco is in there, so some CCO is within that holdings, but I am pretty bullish on uranium. I think uranium is going to be very important. So I should have more. I should have more. I really, really should, the more I think about it. Let's see. Don't understand the push for another pipe to the coast. Not at capacity yet. They should be pushing for a pipeline to the Great Lakes and sell on tankers to Europe. That's another option. And I know that there's also been talk of going to up to Churchill as well. So yeah, I mean, ideally, I would have loved having a pipeline to like, Kingston or Montreal. Well, if Quebec is going to be an issue, then Kingston. I thought that would have been a good option as well. But yeah, well, right now I just wanted to be able to get it so that it's not landlocked in Alberta. Let's get it out. And plus, Alberta, it would go a long way to making Alberta feeling a little bit less like Canada's ignoring them per se. Let's see. Scratch says the narrative is that the world has a lot of oil reserves, but it doesn't translate with flow rates. Oil is in everything we consume. It's as cheap as it can get. Don't miss this one out. Yeah, no, I agree. Oil is very, very, very much involved in pretty much everything. But hey, Canada has lots of juicy metal mines. We have that too. Let's see. Jan says, I didn't see any names being named over the holiday. Silver fiasco, but it was on education. I'm thinking to buy some silver coin to cover my bases. Okay, fair enough. I mean, personally, I'm not so much into holding physical, but that's just because I couldn't be bothered. I'm very happy with investing in the market. Mayor, okay. Oh, there's another commodity that I personally think is almost pure hype, uranium. I wouldn't go that far. Here's the thing, Mayor. Right now, just the power consumption of AI is absolutely expanding. It's getting bigger, and that's not going to change. And even as it is, some of the tech companies are starting to invest in nuclear because nuclear is going to be big. And I can see that for that reason, for that reason, uranium is going to, of course, be at a premium. And as it is right now, world supplies of uranium it's a little tight. So I think uranium is going to be big, and I can understand you might feel like hype, but it's only hype until that price actually goes up, right? Scott says oil to the coast is to Southeast Asia and China. I'm not sure why another pipeline can go the same route as TMX, but privately owned. Yeah, and it depends on how now keep in mind, all the government can do really is clear the hurdles for a pipeline. It's still going to be up to one of the oil companies to make the pipeline, or one of the pipeline companies. So we'll have to see. I mean, Alberta's even been talking about going down to the States and going over to the ocean that way. So that to me, I don't think that's the best plan, but I can certainly understand why it's like if Canada won't give us a pipeline, we'll get one another way. So I can understand that. Shapa, another lurker maybe. Do you think copper will be the metal for 2026? Very bullish on copper. Very, very, very bullish. Copper, some of my sources say copper shortage by 2030, but I know that somebody in the chat was mentioning as well that there's one big company that's saying that the shortage is already here, that it's that it's ongoing. So I can see the demand for copper going up big time. So yeah, very bullish on copper. Nuclear is so expensive to build and operate, it doesn't make sense. I think natural gas and solar wind coupled with battery storage are way cheaper. It depends with nuclear, and I don't know what the time frames are on some of these new, some of the modular, so the small, the SOMs. They're faster, and there's already money that's being earmarked for them, at least here in Canada. So it's still going to be big, and there's a lot of interest in our modular. So those are well, as Tony just mentioned, those are those mini reactors. So it's going to happen. And keep in mind, once they have those reactors, they still need uranium. It's not like uranium lasts forever, right? If it did, you wouldn't have radioactive waste. Nuclear reduces stress on grid capacity and transmissions. Exactly. Scratch says, I am so bullish on commodities that I took small positions into the lumber industry. Yeah. Well, you know what? Canadian lumber is really good. And I actually saw a story the other day that Canada wants to start shipping our lumber to other markets. The problem is, and here's the problem that Canada faces, because the Americans have bought so much of our lumber, a lot of our lumber yards, they're all geared towards cutting them into imperial, like 2x4s, things like that. So for us to be able to sell to some of the other markets, we actually have to start looking at retooling some of our industry, some of our lumber mills and such to cut in metric. An interesting thing. We've been metric for so long, but yet all of our wood is still imperial. But that'll be interesting to see. Now, I think it's going to be pretty expensive to get that happening. But if the U.S. wants to keep playing with our lumber industry the way they have, and to keep on putting more and more levies, that might just have to happen. Scott, I don't understand going to Prince Rupert. Is Vancouver so jammed up that we can't go the same route as TMX? Yeah, I'm not sure what that route's going to look like, though. So, let's see here. A nuclear runs on a uranium, solar on silver, and batteries on both silver and lithium. There we go. All right, guys, we're at about the 2-hour mark. If you got your last minute questions, let's get them on in. Doesn't mean we're leaving right away. If you guys got lots to say, I've got the time to hear it. So definitely something. And I'll also just point out, we are one away from the skating goat, if you guys want to see the skating goat. So just a thought. Oh gosh, so very good. I really, really enjoy this. Guys, we will be having a market close tomorrow, just to let you guys know. December, we started this thing called the Financial Express. It's still going. It's still going. So tomorrow there'll be an option to add a show for Tuesday if you guys want to do that. But the Financial Express on the way. We'll see how long it goes into the year. I'm okay. Like, I'm prepared. I'm prepared to do a show every day if I have to. Let's see. Are you able to look at CPRX? Sure. I can look at them. Let's pull up. All right, here we go. So this here is, all right, so Catalyst Pharmaceuticals. Okay, I do not know this company. I'll tell you that right now. I just want to let you know. This is a new one for me, but let's just take, I want to take a gander first. Let's just take a look at the last 3 years. Okay. All right, interesting. And what do they do? Well, obviously, they're a pharmaceutical company, but let's see here. Biopharmaceutical company committed to improving the lives of patients with rare diseases. So with a proven track record of bringing life-changing treatments to the market, we focus in licensing, commercializing, developing innovative therapies. Okay. So look at a U.S. presence. All right. So they provide treatments to people who have rare diseases, and there's a lot of rare diseases out there. That's interesting. Let me take a look at the back end, just to give me a general. Ooh, I like this. So it looks like they've got no debt. That's fantastic. Love that. And when you couple that with a return on equity above 20%, so 27.52%, that's not too shabby. Now, they don't have a dividend, and that's fine. They're still growing. Return on assets is also pretty high, 23.86%. So this is a really interesting company. Fundamentally, just from the fundamentals that I can see here, I like what I'm looking at. They don't have a lot of volatility. They've got a good return on equity, no debt. So if you are looking, for exposure, U.S. exposure to pharmaceuticals, this is not a bad choice. Let's actually go even further out. When you go out 5 years, they look even more impressive. So this has absolutely been doing fantastic. I like them. So CPRX, Catalyst Pharmaceuticals, not too shabby. So yeah, Shaw, I think this is a good company. Scratch says, thank you, Candace. This show ends when my second favorite show starts, the silver market. Love it. Raf says, I can't wait for Harvest's HPYE ETF to start trading sometime in January. Yes, so Harvest has a couple of them. They've got HPYE. They've also got their version of the bank as well, as sort of their version to 60. But both of those will be hopefully trading in January. We also have January 15th, we have Inti that's going to be coming as well. I think that's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what they're holding. All right. And we got a super from Tom. Tom wants to see the goat, the skating goat. All right, so I got two. The one I wanted, here's the one I want. Now, let me just play this. So this here is the original skating goat, the one I like. I love this one. This one is so cool. But I didn't get the skates. The AI just didn't put skates on her. I'm like, no, everything else is perfect. So I tried to get the AI to put the skates on her. Oh boy, and this is the rejected one. So guys, you're going to get to see a rejected one. And I'm going to ask you guys why I want to reject it. And we'll see if you guys can figure out what about this one makes me want to reject it. All right, here we go. This is the rejected one. This is the rejected one. All right. I'll play the rejected one once more so that you guys see if you can see if anybody can tell what is wrong with this one. What is wrong with this one? It's a little thing. It's subtle, but we'll we'll see if you guys can spot what is unnervingly wrong with that rejected one. Jan says, I was under the impression it was brought up when China limited silver exports, starting the ball rolling. It might have. All right, I do see. All right, right here. Sky got it. The head does a 360. Yeah, it's like she turns her head exorcism style, you know, the whole. That's the one thing I was like, no, other than that, I liked it. But the exorcism head thing, that was just like horror. So that was why it was rejected. That was why it was rejected. But I thought it would be fun just to show you guys both. Why not? All right, Scratch says, there is a whole industry that relies on silver in China. They don't care about the paper price since they need the resource to produce. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think there was anything wrong with the fingers, but the head was the thing. Yeah, the head. Jan says, a lot of margins on silver were called around the holidays. Chaos ensued. And let's see, Scott says, I noticed a pattern on new offerings, and there's a ton of hype in the first little bit, and stocks shoot to the moon and then trail off and become almost penny stocks. Is there a reason this happens? I mean, it really depends. It really depends on what we're looking at. So, oh boy, sorry, I just noticed. Let me get back to you for a second here, Scott. I'm just going to very quickly pull this here up. We got a $2 super chat from Scratch. I'm so bullish on TSX. We need more beavers. I agree. We do have the one beaver that sits here as our defender in beaver, I guess. Oh boy. You know what I should do? I should get a singing beaver and we could call it Justin Beaver. Oh, is that bad? Is that really bad? It might be. All right. Scott said, here we go. Scott says, I notice a pattern on new offerings and there's a ton of hype in the first little bit. Okay. So yeah, a lot of times, if a new company comes out, it may be an IPO, you will normally get a bit of a jump. You'll get a little bit of on the hype, it tends to jump up pretty fast. So a lot of times, especially with IPOs, now we're not talking ETFs, but we're talking about IPOs. Once it'll go up. Then the hype dies. People sell. Some people sell it right away. It's like, oh my God, look at this! I just made a big bunch of profit. Let's sell. It comes back down. It retreats. It falls down to sort of a more fair price. Now that doesn't really talk about penny stocks per se. I mean, maybe some of them do. I'm not sure which ones you're thinking about. Like maybe this might be one where we need an example. ETFs have been sort of defying me a little bit. Like normally ETFs, we used to see that as well, especially depending on when they launch. But let's just take a look at, for example, I want to look at 60 here for a moment. I'm going to pull up 60 and here we go. I have to go to the 3-month. It kind of didn't do it. Like normally I would have almost anticipated it coming up and then maybe coming back down a little bit and then slowly starting up after it found a new ground. We didn't get that. So it kind of went up and stayed up and it's been doing fantastic that way. So, and let's see here. So, okay, good. We have an example. RXRX. Let's take a look at this. RXRX. Is this like a pharmacy? There we go. Yeah, Recursion Pharmaceuticals. All right, let's take a look here. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years. Okay, this has been out for a while, but all right, here we go. Here we go. So here we go. Yeah, this is very, very long ago, but okay. Interesting. I think I have a hypothesis. So it had some incredible growth, incredible stuff going on at the beginning when we were in the pandemic. Now, I don't know if this was a situation where, let me just see if we can find some more information. I'm just wondering if there's any relationship at all to, no, let's see here. All right, clinical stage biotech company leading the space by decoding biology to radically improving lives, enabling. I'm wondering if they had something to do with the whole production of mRNA and the vaccine, or at least part of the vaccine. That's what I'm asking. I don't know if they did or not. I'm wondering. You know what? Let's see if we can find out. And this is kind of sometimes, guys, it can be a mystery, right? And you have to sort of find out a little bit of stuff here. Let's go to Google. All right. RXRX, roll with COVID. I'm just going to put it in here and see if we got anything in here. There we go. There we go. So they played a role in drug discovery efforts by releasing a massive open source data set to help researchers find potential treatments. That may be what's going on. And let's ignore the second part, but maybe that's what happened. So if they had a role in there, that would have inflated that stock pretty big. And let's get back here. And then of course, as they, as it rolled out, at that point, I guess we don't really have, they probably just kind of then fell back to, back to earth per se. So that might have been what was going on in here. That's my best hypothesis. And just pulling up the Google and seeing that there were, what they were doing in regards to COVID, that might be why. And that's why, guys, sometimes you have to think outside the box when you're looking at the fact that they were released around the time that at the early stages of the pandemic. Well, I wouldn't say early. 2021, it's like after the first, 9 months or so. All right. And keep in mind, too, that's when they went public. They could have been working on it before they went public, before they IPO'd as well. Sir Beaver is my favorite. French. Carton bras sait porter le pied, il sait porte le... All right. I have no idea what that means. You know what really sucks, guys? I can't just copy paste. I can't copy paste that into a translator. because I will do that. Sometimes, guys, at one point I had somebody commenting on one of my videos in Portuguese. And so I was able to translate it and give them, and translate my response back into Portuguese for them. And then they kept talking to me. And I was like, oh no, I got to keep, it was actually kind of fun. It was actually kind of fun. I didn't mind it. So we just kept going. It was absolutely fun. Scratch says, ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are basically free and cure more than all new drugs the market has to offer. Scott says they seem to be about analysis and collection of data from clinical studies using machine learning. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was getting from it as well. So, I think it was more or less, basically, I think it was more or less, oh boy. Yeah, I think it was just more or less what they were able to provide at that time, because there was a lot of data crunched. I mean, they pushed those vaccines out fast, and to do it safely, you had to crunch out a lot of data, and I think that's exactly what we were seeing with that, and that does explain the shape that we're seeing. So in this case here, yeah, we kind of got a hypothesis. Is it 100% right? Don't know. It's a hypothesis. I think that logically, it probably is fine. What they lied, plain and simple. Oh, you mean about what? About the vaccine? Oh, well, I mean, I don't know about that. I do know that the thing is so mRNA. That stands for messenger RNA, and it's kind of like it's used. Well, it's actually used during protein synthesis, but that technology, whatever you may, whatever feelings that you may have about the COVID vaccine, the technology itself for the mRNA, it is opening up a lot of interesting doors when it comes to possible cancer treatments. So that'll be interesting to see where it all goes. And it's going to probably go a lot faster than we expect, because now AI is just doing incredible things. Like things that you take a lot of complicated things. Like they actually, I think it was DeepMind. DeepMind was able to figure out some protein foldings that were absolutely complicated, and probably would have taken normal researchers months, if not years, to figure out. And DeepMind did it pretty darn fast. I can't remember the exact time frame it took, but I think it was under a week. Okay, let's see here. Don't get me started. Go look at Dr. John Campbell. Yeah, Dr. John Campbell. He, the older guy, right, who did all of the, I believe he was doing like a week, almost a daily thing during the pandemic. So, yeah, actually haven't watched him in forever, but I know he was doing updates daily. I think that's the same one. But I'm not entirely sure. All right. Dr. Campbell, there we go. Let's see. Jan says, I think they were creating fear, saying some paper trades and banks didn't have silver to physically cover and can't access it on demand anymore because supply is more limited short term. Yeah, well, keep in mind too, though, sometimes people will try to create or manufacture fear because it creates some buying opportunities that, or selling opportunities, depending on what they're doing. So there's definitely times when you're going to do stuff like that. It's, I think it's unethical, personally. It's like, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Time to claim our independence. There we go. I don't think the world will ever be independent, Scratch. Unfortunately. All right, guys, we're pretty close here to the end. I will, like I said, we're going to have a market close tomorrow. See what happens. Let's see what happens on the market. Let's watch silver. Let's see if silver does anything. So we'll get a market close tomorrow. If you're a channel member, you'll be able to watch the video tomorrow. Otherwise, Tuesday. And it should be good. All right, guys, I got to go big here before I can even think about leaving. But I do have one last thing I do want to say to you guys. And, well, that is...